Hi, so welcome back. Today we are doing a terrifying video because I am finally picking up a book that has been haunting my dreams since it was gifted to me. So I am terrified. Why, you might ask? Because I am picking up this beast of a novel. I need two hands to hold this or else my wrist breaks. So this will be the biggest book I've read in my entire life. But yes, so like I said, I didn't actually say this. Okay, I actually did start picking this up a few days ago. I'm not sure exactly when. I want to say maybe 2. And so far I've gotten this far into it. I'm on page 116 out of 805. I do have the audiobook, so I have been exclusively listening to this, and I don't know if I'm going to read it at all or if I'm just going to listen to it, but with how I'm feeling right now, I definitely think I'll stick to the audiobook exclusively and just bookmark this for page reference to see how far I am through it, because with this book, percentages really mean nothing. I don't know why I decided to pick it up now. It's kind of just been on my mind for the last month, and it's been staring me down. Like I said, it's been haunting my dreams, haunting my thoughts. I can't get it out of my brain. So I just decided, pick it up, get it over with. You have the audiobook. My holds on my library is taking forever to come anyway, so I didn't have an audiobook to read. So I decided to pick it up. So far, it's very boring. I'm trying very hard to give it to at least halfway before deciding if I like it or not, and before deciding if I want to continue with it or not, because it's a very, very big book, and I just feel like halfway would be more of a fair determination. But as of right now, I'm not really enjoying it that much. It's not a bad book by any means. It is wonderfully written. It is well written. The characters are interesting. There is nothing wrong with this book in any capacity, aside from the fact that I don't think it's written for me. The way I would compare it is kind of how I would imagine Game of Thrones is written. I have never read those books myself, but that's how I would imagine it's written. Again, Game of Thrones very popular, so I do see that as a compliment of sorts, but obviously I can't say because again I haven't read it. Genuinely, I don't think this is for me by any capacity, but I still do want to try and get a good chunk of it done before DNFing it. And my hopes are high. I'm hoping that maybe in another 100 or 200 pages I'll fall in love with it and I'll see the hype that everybody is talking about. However, as of right now, I can't see myself enjoying it. I could see myself finishing it though, so we will see. That's why I'm making this video, to document my experience, see how it goes, see how it feels. I'm really hoping for the best, but after my experience with Throne of Glass, in general, I'm just frightened, so we will see. This is going to be a journey, definitely not a quick one. Even though I've listened to almost 4 hours in 3 days, that's still really not that much because it's a 25-hour audiobook. So it's so strange because in my brain I'm like, I've listened to 4 hours, I've read 100 pages, like that's a lot, but then you take into account the entirety of the book and you realize that is nothing. So it's strange. I'm in a very weird place, but I'm excited to see how this goes and where this goes and how I'm going to react, because even though I'm not liking it right now, this book's very different from everything that I've read, and then also again, just it's been haunting me, so who knows. My hopes are high, my expectations are low, and as of right now I'm not the biggest fan and I find it very boring, but I think that's a me issue, not a book issue, so we'll see. I'll check in later. I'm going to try and maybe check in every 100-ish pages, but knowing myself, that's probably not going to happen, but we'll see. We will see. I'm hoping for the best, and this is going to be a journey, so wish me luck. So I'm only about 150 50-ish pages in. So this is a bit earlier than the original update that I wanted to do, because like I said, I was hoping to maybe do every 100 pages, 150 pages or so. But I realized something a couple of hours after filming yesterday, which is I am approximately 150 pages into this book and I have absolutely no clue what is happening. You can quiz me on who characters are, what they do, including the main characters. I will not tell you anything that is accurate. I don't even remember the main characters' names, like as I'm sitting here right now. I know there's a character called Satan, and that's only because that name like threw me off the first time I heard it. So I have no clue what is happening. I know there's a plague, there's a queen who doesn't want to marry anyone, there's a guy that she really likes that went to a different country, there's an unnamed person, like I think that's their name, the unnamed one or something like that. And one of the main characters is a sea dragon rider. I don't know. I have no clue what is going on. I don't know if that's because I'm listening to the audiobook, if I'm not paying enough attention to the audiobook, or if that's just how this book is, like you're kind of lost for the first part of it. Again, I'm probably only maybe 20-ish percent, 25% through the book. Like it's 800 pages, I'm only on page 150. I guess that's the equivalent of being on like page 30 to 50 in like a normal 350 page book. So I'm confused. I'm not giving up yet. I am very determined to finish this because I really, really, really just want to be able to say that I did read that book. However, based on how it's going, unless it changes, which it might, again, very newly into the book, but if it keeps going this way, I don't think the plot even went into my head. Nevertheless, it like leaving immediately. Every time I pick up the book, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, that's what we're doing. I have no clue what is happening. So I'm frightened for this one as well. I just filmed my Six of Crows reading vlog intro because I didn't forget to do it yesterday. I only decided I'm gonna start reading it yesterday. But yeah, I just have 2 fantasy books that I'm reading right now that I am terrified of. I'm so intimidated by these books. You'd think they believe me, like truly, which I mean, they might by the end of this. I might feel victimized by these books. We will see. But I am frightened. I'm scared. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who anyone is. I don't think that'll change, but I don't know. And I'm tired. I'm so tired. My brain, I don't know what happened, but post Throne of Glass, which was months ago at this point, my brain does not want to think about books. If my brain sees a book that looks like I might have to think about it and it's beyond just here's a cute couple, doesn't want to do it, does not want to do it, which is funny because I also am just tired a little bit of rom-coms because I've read so many back to back to back to back, and I don't know what I want. So just wish me luck. October is a scary month for me, and not for the same reason it is for anyone else apparently, but this is the horror I decided to manifest for myself in the spooky month. Reading 2 series technically. I don't think I'm gonna read the prequel for Priory, but reading 2 to 3 books that just absolutely terrify me. I'm frightened. I truly am. I might read more Allie Hazelwood in between just to give myself some peace and comfort throughout this apparently very difficult time that I'm going through. And I willingly pick these up too, and I'm acting like I'm being forced to. I'm a drama queen, to say the least. But this is unfortunately the life that I chose, and I'm determined to try and see it through. Don't know if I will, but I'm gonna try. So, A for effort on my part. So I am back and I've officially reached part 2, which is on page 250-ish, maybe 251, I'm not sure, but I'm about this far into it. Again, I've basically just been listening to this. I have not read a single word. However, I'm not really liking it. I find it incredibly dull. I have no idea what is happening. I'm finding it very difficult to keep up with all of the characters, and I picked this up for gay girls and dragons, there has been no gay girls, minimal dragons. It's just, I'm not liking it. So my goal is to get to part 3, which is on page 405, I believe. So about 200 more pages. And if I still don't like it by then, I'm going to DNF it because, again, I've read an entire book at this point. Like, I literally own books that are shorter than what I've read in here. And I mean, giving this 400 pages, even though it's halfway, I feel like that's more than enough. I'm very disappointed that I don't like it because I've heard so many good things. But, you know, maybe this book, well, maybe, definitely at this point, this book just isn't really for me. I just want to make sure I give it a proper chance and not to DNF it too soon. But yeah, I'm struggling with it. I don't really like it, and I'm very sad. I will try and do a few more check-ins, definitely. Like I said, every 50 to 100 pages I'm trying to do a check-in. But yeah, I just, like, literally the only thing I know is that someone got married. I won't say who because I don't want it to be a spoiler, but there was a wedding. And that's it. I don't know. I don't like it, and I feel very upset by that because I've heard only good things. I think I've seen one person not enjoy it, and even that was like, this is just a book that's not for me. It's not a bad book. And I agree with that. I don't think this is a bad book by any means. I just definitely don't think it was written for me. I think it's written for someone who is much more into fantasy. Even though I've read quite a lot of fantasy, all the fantasy that I've read for the most part has been kind of on the simpler side, on the more like, these are for beginner sides. So maybe I'm the issue. Maybe the actual book just isn't for me, but it's not like my fantasy novel. I don't know what it is, but I know I don't like it. So that's where I'm at. That's how much I've read, and I want to get to, I'll show you how much more I have left to read. I want to get to here, so it's about just a little bit under what I've already read, and yeah. This is probably going to be a DNF unless something massive changes in the next 150-ish pages. So that's very upsetting, but I'm back. My fringe is still messed up, so I'm trying to work around it. If it looks bad, don't tell me. This big boy. Finally made it to halfway. I am at part 3, and I don't know how I feel. So I still feel like there's been minimal dragon stuff happening. The gay girls are finally gay girling, so that's great. Finally, one of the 2 things I picked this up for is happening. Not who I thought it would be between, though. After like listening to more of it, I kind of realized, oh, I got it wrong, but happy regardless. I was originally going to DNF this book here. When I was at 200 pages, I was like, I'm just gonna listen to halfway and then I'm gonna stop. I'm not ready to actually do that. So this book is actually picking up quite a bit, and it has started to intrigue me. So I do want to keep reading it. Will I finish it? I don't know. That's very up in the air for me. But as of right now, I do want to keep reading. I'm kind of intrigued. I want to know where it keeps going. Kind of sucks that you have to read 300 to 400 pages for it to start to get interesting, but also this is a big book with a big world and a lot of things happening. So I do understand why so much of it has had to be plot buildup and world building and magic systems, even though not too much magic happening, at least not right now. So I'm not DNFing it. I am halfway. I've been reading it for a month. I've not been reading it very consistently. I maybe do 50 pages a week, if that. I am listening to 2 other books plus this one, so 3 in total, and I'm physically reading something. So this one's very much a back burner book where it's like I'll get to it when I get to it, which might not be the best way to go about this book if you're planning on reading it, because since so much is happening, when you take long breaks, you definitely do forget what is happening. Also, don't recommend listening to this book. I'm listening to it fully because I do not have the willpower to sit and read this. I would no longer be on this plane of existence if I try to read this. So that's not happening for me, but I don't recommend listening to it. The audiobook is great. It's not a bad audiobook, but since so much is happening, very, very hard to listen to especially if you listen to it while you're driving or you're working. Like, if you're gonna listen to it, you need to sit and listen to it. So that is my warning. I recommend reading it. That being said though, I am enjoying it, not that much, which pains me to say. Like, I think I'm going to finish this after like 3 months and it might be a 3-star. I do not see this being 4 or higher, but that's okay. I realized pretty quickly that this book wasn't for me, so the fact that I'm intrigued by it as much as I am currently is great enough as it is. That is where I'm at. Halfway, kind of liking it, intrigued by it, still not sure if I'm going to finish it or not, but that is not a worry for today. That is a worry for, I don't know. We'll see. This is a very strange read for me. That's really all I can say, but that is where I'm at. I don't really have much to say because 1, I'm trying to keep this spoiler free, and 2, still don't really know what's going on. Still very lost plot wise. Finally know one character's name, Sabron. I know one character's name. Two, because there's Satan, which is hard to forget. So Sabron and Satan. So it has taken me 400 pages, but I know 2 character names. So I'm an intellectual, and my brain is definitely big enough to read this. I'll be back in 50, 100, 200, who knows? Who knows when I'll be back, but I will be back. I might change the updates to every 100 pages instead of, I don't even know what I was doing. Who cares? I will see you when I see you. Wish me luck. It would be a miracle if I finished this before the new year. So that's all I'm gonna say, but I will be back. Goodbye for now. See you when I see you. Wish me luck. I'm still terrified. Hi, it has happened. I've DNF'd it. So, I didn't think I would for a little bit, but I kind of forgot I was reading this for, I want to say a month. Not a month. A few weeks, a week to 2 weeks, a while. I forgot I was reading this, which, how I forgot I was reading a brick is crazy, but never put anything like that above me. I picked it up again yesterday and I read about 2 chapters and I got to page 430 or chapter 40 and I was bored. I was really bored. Still didn't know what was going on. Again, when I say read, I did listen to this exclusively. I did not have it in me to try and sit down and read this. I would have actually like lost my mind. But this is one of those stories where it's like, I can see why it's popular. I can see why people love it, and I understand why it's highly rated, and I do not want to argue with that at all. This book was just not written for me. This is not the type of fantasy that I like. This is very, like, if I would have to compare this to something, I would say it's very Game of Thrones-esque, where if you just take away certain fantasy elements, you could believe that this is real. Like, this happened in the past, which is a good thing. You know, that's extraordinary that the author managed to write something like this. However, that's not the type of fantasies that I really like that much. I don't mind political intrigue at all. It can be very interesting sometimes. But I have noticed the type of fantasies that I tend to gravitate towards and the ones that I tend to love the most are things like Actar, The Cruel Prince, Once Upon a Broken Heart, any Margaret Rogerson book, Belladonna, The Gilded Duology by Marissa Meyer, and all of those are very magical and fairy tale-esque. Half of them are retellings in some type of way, and the other ones are very, a lot of people say, for example, Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson is very Howl's Moving Castle. A lot of those are retelling. They're very fairy tale, very magical, very, very removed from this world. Like, there's no part of the world that you could be like, oh, I could see how this could exist in our world if you just take away this or that. Like, no. There's absolutely no possible way that in at least the current world that we live in, those worlds could ever exist. And those are the fantasies that I like. I like reading the fantasies where it's a completely different world. It feels like a Disney movie. It feels like something I would have dreamed about as a kid. Like, that's what I love reading about. I don't like reading fantasies like this where it's like, take away the dragons and the magic and this could just be 1,000 years ago. I don't like that. That's not my thing, and that's okay. So that's why I DNF'd it. I could not keep up with anything or anyone. I was bored a lot of the time it just wasn't my type of fantasy, and in general I just wasn't enjoying my time reading it. And I'd already read 430 pages, which I believe is about 12 to 13 hours of audiobook listening, and I just didn't want to dedicate that much time again because this is only halfway. I don't want to dedicate that same amount of time to finishing something that I wasn't enjoying, especially after having dedicated so much time and effort to reading this already. So I did DNF it. I'm very sad that I didn't like it, but by no means is this a bad book. This is a very good book. I can acknowledge that. I can see why people love this. And if fantasies like Game of Thrones, or maybe even Throne of Glass, honestly, if you enjoy those, you would probably enjoy this, because I feel like those are all like the same type of fantasies, where it's like very realistic based, very detailed, very intricate. Think Game of Thrones, essentially. That's honestly my only, I haven't even read Game of Thrones, but this is what I would compare that to. So if you enjoy fantasies like that, you would enjoy this. And on the bright side, it's just 2 books of these, so it's actually not that long because it's 800. And if you compare it to something like Game of Thrones, you know, like Game of Thrones is definitely more pages than both this and the prequel. So by no means this is a bad book. I keep saying that because I just want to hammer in the fact that despite the fact that I didn't like this, the problem lies with the fact that I'm not the audience for this book. This isn't the type of fantasy that I enjoy. So it's still a very wonderful book. I completely agree with the fact that it should be highly rated. It's just not for me. And if you have similar tastes as I do, I don't think it would be for you either. However, if you want to give it a shot, by all means, go ahead. It definitely should be available at libraries, so maybe go for that option. But that is my opinion. I'm very sad that I DNF'd it, but you know, it is what it is, and sometimes things just don't work out, and that's fine. If you manage to finish this block of a book, let me know what you thought of it. If you like me or my videos, I would really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye.